Hello again, friends. This is Jamar Doyle, President and CEO of CHHSM, and I am so excited that you have once again joined us for Ministry Moments. I am pleased to be joined today by Mr. James Pennington, who is the President and CEO of the Back Bay Mission in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I know you will be amazed by the amazing work that they do in the Gulf region of the United States. So, James, I'm just so glad you're able to join us today. And I
Great
must
to be
also
here.
the awesome board member, new to the CHHSM board, but certainly not new to CHHSM and not new to the work of just helping people. So first and foremost, how did you get into the working at Back Bay Mission and particularly into the helping ministries?
Well, I grew up in Mississippi, in northern Mississippi, in Boonville, and I left there when I was 12 to the south side of Chicago. And I think my experiences in northern Mississippi and south side of Chicago were very different. And I think it's there that I got a sense of justice. I grew up in a family that aunts and uncles and my father were part of the John Birch Society. And so they had a very white supremacist view on the world and on society. And when I moved to the south side of Chicago, I knew I just had such different experiences, right? And I knew early on that something wasn't right about kind of the John Birch Society and my family's secretive kind of nature around that. So I think I'd been a seeker around equity and justice kind of from early on. Also, knowing I was gay man early on, I think also that added to my thirst and desire to see justice and equity for people in the margins. And so, I went into seminary and campus ministry, got my degree in psychology and philosophy, and went into seminary and ended up doing campus ministry. And the campus ministry work that I did, part of my major thrust back then was getting what I saw as kind of privileged university students out into third world places in this country and third world places in other countries. And so giving them exposure on trips to Haiti, to Mexico, to the hill country of Tennessee, um, to Louisiana to do work with Habitat for Humanity. And third world places in inner cities. And then when I left, I went to Russia for a year and a half to do some leadership development. And that really compelled me into the not-for-profit world as far as working with people who were homeless, runaway, throwaway youth, clean needle exchange, working as executive director for the LGBT community and fair marriage equality. So kind of it all came to a head when I became UCC as a UCC clergy person and served a couple of congregations, and then really sensed a stronger call to do this kind of work more directly and bring my experience in the not-for-profit world in social service together with my church work in the church world for equity and justice. And I had a conversation with John Dorhauer, and he said, James, sounds like you've become in full circle to go to Back Bay. And kind of that was kind of the beginning of my time seeking the spirit and seeking an answer. And the answer was kind of like go back to Mississippi. So I have most of my families around the state, my sister, my nephews and nieces. Um, and so that's kind of how I ended up back here.
Well, first, let me just say, I honor the work of equity and justice that you're doing and that Back Bay Mission is doing. And I note that today is October 11th, which is National Coming Out Day. And
Sure
so
is.
I honor also the fact that you have spoken your truth in terms of being a gay man, a Christian man. As a Black gay man myself, this is a special day. And, as you talk
That it
about
is.
mission, yes, yes, being able to live your truth and all of
Yeah.
it, embody it, right? So,
Yep.
how important is that, particularly when you think about the mission and sharing with us the mission of Back Bay Mission and the work that you do and being the only organization that does your work from, New Orleans to Mobile, Alabama. How important is that? And how important is it to allow people through that work to be able to be themselves and to think that embody equity and justice and belonging for everyone, no matter where they may be in life and what challenges they may face, knowing they have a home at Back Bay Mission. I know I threw a lot at you, but it got
That
me
was a,
excited sort of thinking about that and how important the work is that you do. But
yeah.
I'm gonna let you talk about that work rather than me talk about it. So
Well, that's incredibly deep question. I mean, it is the work, right? The work is around equity and justice, and the work is around allowing people to be their full, authentic selves. And as I think about, especially the unsheltered population we work with, as they walk through the doors of the Micah Day Center, which is our day center, where they can get their laundry done, they can meet with a case manager, they can get a shower, is they come in pretty much as they are. They have nothing but themselves and maybe a sack um, or a grocery cart full of stuff, right? And we have to embrace them as they are. We do not call them clients, we call them guests. They're
mm,
guests at the Micah Day Center. And that work that we do, we have to remind ourselves because it's hard work. People in some real difficult situations with some chronic mental health issues and some who have substance abuse, is we have to accept them as they are, where they're at, just as they are. Um, and during the course of building relationships, they disclose maybe that they're queer, they're gay or lesbian, or that um, they're HIV positive, or maybe what their mental health diagnosis is, and we don't place judgments on that. We're a judgment-free zone. And when it comes to even our food pantry and the other case management services and going into people's homes to rehab their homes with so many UCC volunteers, it's still all a no judgment, right? Be yourself, be who you are, share your truth, and opening the door for volunteers and the staff to share their truth too, with appropriate boundaries, of course. But it's incredibly important because that's who we are to the core as far as UCC. I just came back from Houston, and in Houston had a chance to meet Karen George Thompson. I met her one other time at the CHHSM board meeting, um, but we talked about that. We talked about that the UCC needs to be this really big umbrella, right? A big umbrella that anybody can be a part of that umbrella, no matter who they are, where they are on life's journey, no matter their political persuasion, their gender identity, their culture, but just bring it together and listen to each other's experiences and celebrate the diversity. One of my favorite sayings is from Verna Myers, who said, diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked to dance. So we ask people to dance, right? Be included, be a part of it.
and it's something that I think perhaps we may not think about when we consider serving unhoused populations is, do they feel safe and are they fully welcomed their entire self? And to know that the Back Bay Mission, as you serve the unhoused population, offers that space where not only can they find shelter and respite and receive the services that they need, but also just be who they are,
Yeah,
at a time in their life where maybe things are vulnerable. So
right,
I
right.
think that is that just sets apart and is so beloved in terms of the portion of your mission. And maybe that leans into this sort of next question, which is just maybe can you share a time when you really felt that the organization was making a huge difference? And I know that that's a big question for Back Bay Mission that has a history of over 101 years. I got to celebrate with you all earlier
Yeah.
this year to mark the 100th anniversary. And so just, if there's something in your time that you could pick out and say, that was it. That's when we hit the mark. That's when that embodies Back Bay Mission and who we are and why we do what we do.
Yeah, I would say there have been several moments, and uh, and I guess for me, some of that embodiment comes in really, really simple moments. It's when one of our case managers worked with a individual who had no identification, birth certificate, driver's license, all stolen, and they finally got the driver's license in the mail, and it took 2 weeks to get it right. And they held that up and they said to me, they said, your case manager gave me my identity back, right? And it's a simple, tiny thing that we take for granted. And I said to myself, can't take that for granted. That's what was really meaningful to them. That's success. And then even a really uh, big moments where um, we finished our first low income affordable housing unit. We had one of our UCC architects from Florida drew us some plans. We built it in a historic Black neighborhood that's experienced a lot of poverty and injustice, Gaston Point in Gulfport, and we finished it. And the board of directors came over to see it, and we celebrated. And then the staff came over, and it was such an emotional moment together with the staff and the board, because we stood there in a circle and we prayed for whomever is going to buy this house, probably a single mom with some kids or a single grandma with some granny kids, um, that this is going to be a home, this is going to be a house, this is affordable, this is home ownership, and this moves them forward. And most of us cried as we prayed, because we realized this is a moment in history and time that we could make a huge difference for somebody. And that happens over and over with our volunteers that come down and work on people's homes. They have moments where, let's say, Grandma Frida on Friday afternoon, this group's been working there for 5 days. She decides she's going to cook them a good Southern lunch, right? Fried chicken and collard greens, and mac and
Invite me
cheese,
over, yes.
right? And they sit down and they break bread together. And in that breaking of the bread, you see Jesus, you see
Okay.
the Christ, you see transformation, and you see a group of folks from a white church with a black grandma and her grandkids sitting down at a table together, rejoicing and being filled with gratitude. And that's vulnerability, because it's vulnerable for some of these folks living in poverty to have many of our middle class UCC white folk come down into their house, right? And say, we're here to serve you. We're not the messiahs. We're not the white messiah, but we're going to be here humbly working with you, working on your home, making it a better home for you, a better place for you. So those are some of the moments of deep, deep transformation and change that I have an opportunity to witness.
That's a perfect lead in too, because and this is going to be another big question, so I apologize in advance.
Okay.
One, you've talked about your services to the unhoused. You've talked about providing affordable housing to families. Can you just, in one sort of way, just describe all of the different services that Back Bay Mission provides to guests? And I love that you say guests, to your guests in the Gulf area. And then two, you talked about UCC congregations and other folks coming down and working alongside your staff. So can you talk about those sort of missions, as they're called, but just the opportunity for people to come down to Biloxi
Yeah.
and commune with Back Bay and really just work with you all to help make a difference?
Yeah, that for me, actually, that has become probably one of my um, most joyful parts of what I do here, most engaging and most enriching, simply because number one, I miss having my UCC peeps around me, right? And when they come down 12, 15, 20, 25 folks to do a work project, it's transformational for them. It's transformational for the staff, because the staff comes in the morning and shares a bit about what they do, the case managers, um, and our housing rehab staff, and we have community health workers now that were funded by the state of Mississippi, two community health workers that work with those who don't have access to mental health or physical health or emotional health services. And so they connect people, they're connectors. So they come in and they talk and they relate and they say, hey, we're in this together. We're in one of the poorest states in the nation. I think we're actually, I think we're actually 49 now. I think Louisiana is a bit more poor than we are. But they get to come down and really experience that on all levels, because they get to help out at the Micah Day Center, helping shower folks that are unsheltered. They get to help out in our food pantry, actually providing food, and it's client choice food pantry, which is unique. They get to interact with all these folks on campus, and they get to interact with people that are living in poverty, because the people that we serve and we do home repairs for are people that are living in poverty. They're below the poverty line, poverty or below, and fixed incomes. So they get that full scope. We also have veterans housing here for unsheltered veterans. So we have 8 units for veterans that were formerly unhoused, but now are housed through our program. And so they get this full experience and immersion. And probably the most profound thing I think, and this is what I experienced way back when I was doing this with students, is you get out of your town, you get out of your setting, you get out of your home, and you come down to Biloxi or to some other place where you can engage in this for a week at a time. You don't have anything pulling you back. You just got this immersion experience, and it's transformative. It changes people's hearts and minds and lives. And that's what I think is really critical.
You
I
know,
think that's what you asked, right?
no, that's perfect. And you were able to interweave the opportunity to come down and work on the various projects and outreach ministries of Back Bay, along with just describing what you do. And y'all out there that are listening, just from everything from building houses and repairing houses to offering a safe place for the unhoused and mental health services and food access services. There is so much that happens at Back Bay Mission. And to James's point, if you just want to have an experience on the Emmaus Road,
Yeah,
it is just
yeah,
you can't beat the opportunity to just commune with the folks in Back
yeah.
Bay.
And I love that Emmaus Road idea because I think about, Jesus walking with disciples and they didn't recognize him. And suddenly there was an aha moment. They ate, they broke bread, and then suddenly they saw and they recognized. And I think we have those moments every day, because I see Jesus in our unhoused. I see Jesus in the folks that are sitting in the waiting room to get a bag of groceries. I see that I see Jesus in the people, homeowners, the equity and justice work we do in the neighborhood of Gaston Point. When we sit around the table with our stakeholders, I see Jesus in those places. Sadly enough, more often than I think sometimes I saw Jesus in church, right? On Sunday morning. It's like seeing Jesus out in the marketplace, in the world, in your community, and then breaking bread with them because that's when you deepen that heartfelt relationship with others, when you break bread and you share your story, you share your experiences, you share who and what you are.
I don't think I could have ended our time any better than that. If you just want to have that experience that James just described, that deepens faith and allows you to just really feel the love as you display Jesus's love by helping others. It gives so much to you. So
Yeah,
this time has flown by so much, and all I can say after that, James, is thank you so much
yeah.
for sharing a little bit, y'all. This is just a little bit of what Back
Well,
Bay.
and thank you, Jamar. I don't want to go without saying how important Chisholm has become to me in this position, right? And Chisholm holds so many stories and so much equity and justice and social service. It in many ways, I just see Chisholm as the people that are a part of Chisholm and you as the hands and feet of Jesus in the world, right? That's what we're left to be.
Yes.
I mean, Jesus got resurrected. All of us go off to wherever that place of beauty and goodness is in the bosom of God, and we're you know, but we're left here then to continue that work that others have started. So thank you for Chisholm and holding us together and holding us in your love and your grace.
Well, thank you so much for that. We are glad to just be able to journey with you. And I thank you for your yes today to
Yep,
just share a little bit about Back Bay Mission.
sure.
And I am just so grateful to you, your leadership, and the work that Back Bay does in the Biloxi, Mississippi area, and really the whole Gulf Coast. So, for those of you that are out there listening, if you want more information, please visit Back Bay Mission's website. You can also link to their website from our website, chisholm.org. There will also be a QR code at the end of this video that you can click on that will take you to our page. You can link to Back Bay Mission's page. You can also sign up to make sure that you don't miss the next installment of Mission Moments. James,
Awesome.
it's been so wonderful. I thank you so much for your time, for your ministry, and for your person.
Thank you, Jamar. Appreciate it.
All right.
Blessings.
Thank you, and blessings to you as well. Until next time, friends, take care, be blessed, and know that no matter who you are beloved by God. Take care.
Amen.